Ms. Elizabeth Rodriguez's resignation. And just very quickly to take this opportunity and thank you, we will truly express his appreciation for his service to the Holyoke Historical Commission. And we got one yesterday. This is from our Commissioner Mary Kay O'Connor. She had addressed it to myself and Mayor Garcia, and she had written, after careful thought and consideration, she has decided to step down and take the position in the Holyoke Historical. While she has not served long, she's come to realize that the experience is not aligned with what she had expected. And additionally, some of the dynamics of the commission just have made it clear to her that this may not be the right time for her to contribute in the way that she hoped. She also stated over the next 6 months, her health will be her top priority, as she is facing a right knee replacement and she needs to make space for healing and self-care. She's very much deeply committed to the Holyoke history and heritage, and she hopes in the near future, when the time is right, she will find a way to be involved. That's it. Public comment. No, you're correct. Nope. It's Alicia. Okay. Then we will go to item number 3, review of meeting minutes for March 10th, 2025. The only thing I have, Joseph Green's where it is. Okay.
I go back to Alan, or do I make note in these meeting minutes that he was present in the previous meeting? Maybe
edit the notes, the prior notes.
Edit prior notes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So can I get a motion then?
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from March. The amendment that I was in attendance.
Second.
Probably.
Roll call. Chris Gauthier,
Yes.
Joseph Mazzola,
Yes.
Olivia Mazel,
Yes.
Taisha Roberts.
Yes.
Item number 4 is policies and procedure. I kind of wanted to get into just some of the things that we've been doing with the bylaws and streamlining operations. But I think maybe we'll just do this at the next meeting. Just to move along, like I said, we'll just go right to the Farr Alpaca. We're going to go right to number 5, letters of report, and this will be the Farr Alpaca. Good afternoon, Alicia. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you all?
Very good.
Yes, so the next filing deadline is coming up on April 30th. So I'd just like to request updated letters of support for the 2 Farr Alpaca rehabilitation projects. Aside from the demo that we'll talk about in a moment, there's been no update to the scopes of work for either project.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. Have you guys seen?
So none of the buildings have had anything different.
So the project that you all toured, the buildings 5, 6, and half of 4, construction is moving steadily along. They're hoping to wrap up at some point this summer. I think a few months ago we were saying July. Now I think that might get bumped to September. But at some point this summer, construction will wrap up. This might be the last round we refile in for historic credits for that project.
Letter of support with Farr Alpaca. Okay.
Second.
Roll call.
Taisha Robert,
Yes.
Olivia Mazel,
Yes.
Joseph Mazzola,
Yes.
Chris Gauthier.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, and this will be the demolition request for buildings 1 and 2 at the Farr Alpaca project. All set.
Okay, I do have a little PowerPoint with some photos I put together to walk you all through. Is it okay if I share my screen? Yes. Okay, can you all see this slide deck? Yeah, okay. Okay, so the project that's under construction currently and will be wrapping up shortly is highlighted in blue. It's closest to Appleton Street. This next phase, or this other project that we're going to be breaking ground on in about 1.5 years is comprised of all of Building 3 and half of Building 4. The state and federal tax credit applications for both have been fully approved. This piece of the project, this demolition of buildings 1 and 2 that we're going to discuss, has been amended to this project because Building 2 shares a party wall with Building 3. So though the demolition is going to happen most likely this summer, I think our client Wind Development has access to buildings 1 and 2 from the railroad through July. It's amending this project here. So a few photos. Building 1 is the concrete ribbed facade. Building 2 has a construction more similar to the other buildings on site, this pier and spandrel design. It also has a steel smokestack that I believe dates to early to mid 20th century, as well as this completely deteriorated monitor here that was daylighting the interior. A few exteriors, so you can see close up sort of the deterioration that's taken place over at least the past 50 to 75 years. The concrete is clearly crumbling as a result of water deterioration, the freeze-thaw cycle of the seasons. And you can see here the roof has almost completely fallen in. We unfortunately still have not had interior access to Building 1. It just hasn't been safe for anyone to enter. We do have these few photos that our the architectural team took back in January and February of this year, showing the coal chutes. That's these structures that you see leading into the basement area. We know obviously it's a double height space. There could be a mezzanine level between the first and second floors. But this is essentially the extent of what we know of the interior of the building at this point. And then Building 2, the brick construction, I wanted to highlight a few photos where you can see the brick falling away from the facade in this first bay here, and all of the water damage that's been incurred over the years. And again, the roof structure is severely deteriorated. I have had access to this building, and we do have some interesting drone videos I'd be happy to share with you. Not quite as dangerous as Building 1, double height space associated with the boiler room. And you can see the interior of the smokestack to the left of this bottom photograph. And the skylights are the monitor that's collapsed on the interior. So we submitted an amendment to the National Park Service and Massachusetts Historical Commission in January of 2025 to walk them through what's taken place well before when took control of the site. And just to express a concern for the safety of residents in Building 7, that's comprised of condos that I believe were developed in the early 90s, as well as residents of eventually Building 3, which is anticipated to be complete in the summer of 2027 if we stay on schedule. And that followed up with a call with our National Park Service reviewer, Tina Roach, and she didn't have any qualms about approving the demolition. We also walked her through a few different scenarios, starting with complete demolition of the buildings, partial demolition, so specifically the rear elevations and maintaining a skin along the canal side of the building. This is another sort of partial demo, half the top half of both buildings, and then reinforcing from the rear, and then structurally stabilizing both buildings and mothballing them. And you can see the cost associated with each scheme. And I apologize. And then so this would be a complete retain repair and then build out of both buildings. So 11 million down to about 2 million in costs. The Park Service approved the work without any conditions, and they're comfortable with us moving forward this summer. That said, I know that we need to discuss this with the commission and make sure everyone understands the scope of work. And if you'd like to schedule any calls with the team or with our structural engineer to discuss further, if you have any questions that I might not be able to answer, I'm happy to do that. And/or meet you on site if you'd like to walk the property. So that's it. Do you have any questions?
Anything planned for the space if the buildings were to be taken down, or open space, or?
Oh, right. Okay. So those plans are being developed because of the railroad. I think it's the Lehigh Valley Railroad. Let's just call it the north elevation for the moment. There's nothing else we can do other than create an outdoor amenity area for the residents of buildings 3, 4. I'm not sure if the building 7 residents will access it. I think that's something that the applicant development team will have to figure out. But it would be a green space.
Can you explain a party wall, or just like, if you're taking down 1 and 2, what does that structurally do to 7 and 3?
That's been my question too. Here, I'll pull up some. TAT is still developing the elevations, but essentially where the plan is to infill with brick. The plans that they developed in January, they're not incredibly detailed, but they'll give you a bit of an idea of how we're going to move forward here. Somewhat. So this has been my question. As far as I understand it, I'm sorry, those labels aren't even correct, but this would be building 3 right here and building 7. The plan is to infill the void with brick to match the masonry on either elevation. So let's look at a quick aerial. So building 1 on the left, building 2, this is the party wall here that 2 shares with 3, the taller building on the right. You can see the pier and spandrel construction, sort of a straight infill down to the ground, we're assuming. The fenestration pattern, if there would have to be windows, is still to be decided. And the same goes for the party wall with building 7. 7 is a bit more complicated, obviously, because it's fully tenanted and it's all condos. So that will absolutely take a bit more coordination with the staff. I'm sorry, with the tenants on site once the rebuild starts. I think right now the biggest concern is to make sure these buildings aren't posing any kind of safety hazard to the residents and just make sure they're down and there's some kind of temporary structure on both elevations. And then the rebuild work will start to happen shortly thereafter. I can certainly follow up with you at the next meeting with the project architect. Maybe he can give you a bit more of an explanation. Or schedule a separate call if you'd like.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Just one question, do you have any idea what they were, what the original use was? Was it storage or you said cold chutes?
Yes, no, that's a good question. So building one, this is according to the I want to say this is like the 1920-30 Sanborn. Building one was a coal pocket. And building two was a part of the boiler house, which extended also into building three. You can see building three, these monumental windows here. This part of the boiler house, it's hard to see it in this Google aerial, but the boiler house was constructed sort of as one building here, and then building three was added on to it. And then this became consumed within building three, and these became two separate buildings. The property history or the building history of the site is a little complex. We're working through it right now. We're wrapping up the National Register nomination, which you all should receive in the next few weeks. The second draft before it goes to MHC. But yes, they were both associated essentially with the mechanicals of the complex.
Should we motion that? Make a motion for the okay demolition for buildings one and two.
No, we still have to use the regular procedure of pulling a demo permit and coming to you for a demo hearing. And yeah, so tonight was just more
Right.
informational.
Right.
So you might wanna, if you're gonna have someone from her team come back to the commission, I would probably suggest maybe wait until that time when you have to actually schedule the demolition hearing.
I was gonna say, we kept the whole special meeting.
No, I don't think so. I think you can do it during a regular meeting, I think, yeah. I mean, we have to do different notifications and things.
Right. Complicate to alert the,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
the newspaper and all that.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. Wow.
So, yeah.
The building wanted.
One and two.
Oh, that's really good.
I don't know if this matters at all, but currently those two buildings, and this, let's call it the second project, half of 4-3, 1 and 2 are owned by the city.
Say that again, one more time.
The
So
buildings are-
building 1 and 2, and then this second project, 3 and half of 4 are owned by the city.
Hooray.
Like differently now for the,
No, because it's still the same process. Yeah, a demo hearing where you determine yes or no.
okay. That's-
And so that would be a formal request that the project team makes to the historical commission.
No, that would be when you actually pull a permit to demolish the buildings with the building department.
Okay,
That's what will trigger the commission to then just have you come in and discuss it, yeah. And then the commission votes yes or no.
understood. Okay. Okay, I'll make sure the team knows. So it might not be at the next hearing, it'll be as soon as the permit's pulled. Okay.
Not just to maybe with a certain email. Just so they know what the process is, what that timeline would look like. for us based on our meeting schedules.
You can absolutely do that,
April, but
just with the two of you, not
right,
everybody.
yes, yes.
But yeah, no, absolutely. You can send her all of the demo
Okay.
with the, because it explains the
Yeah.
timeline. I
Okay.
actually, I believe it's on the
Either way,
website.
whoever's gonna do the something.
Right, and that's what triggers the commission.
Just what
Yeah.
we've been working on is that it's old. and It's all just.
Well, I'm also involved in this because it's redevelopment authority too, so.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. I think we're good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Just a thought. As we've been creating documents and policies and procedures and all of that, I know this is probably somewhere typed out and spelled out,
What, the demo?
like, yeah,
I actually think it might be on the
It's on the
website. I think
website.
it's on the website on your
Okay.
page.
should we make sure it's all, should we just look at it? Like, when was the last time we looked at it, is what I'm saying? Probably.
Probably the last time we did one, which was
Right.
Maple Street, right? The church on Maple? Was that the
No,
last
no.
hearing?
We had a demo delay.
That mechanism section.
Yeah, was that?
Oh, no,
Sacred
no,
Heart.
no.
Sacred Heart, Sacred Heart.
Right.
Well, you put that one way out.
Yeah, way.
I think we looked at everything, but we'll look, right?
Yeah, there's a certain time frame once the, you have to do the hearing and the,
Right, 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Notice.
I have to put it in the, yeah.
I guess I just don't understand if the city owns it, why would they?
Because,
How's that?
okay, so the HRA owns the buildings
Right,
and the HRA is in a long-term lease with Wind Development.
okay,
So Wind will take possession of the buildings and everything, but I don't believe it's until everything is finalized. So at this stage, it still is, it's long-term accruing tax credits and
This
moving
is all the
forward.
buildings, the entire row, or are we just saying
great part of four.
just that?
They want to demo 1 and 2.
Right,
Yep, and the others, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Is that fixed?
7 are all under construction. Yeah,
okay,
they've got phase 1 and phase 2.
okay.
So phase 2 is buildings 3 and 4.
Right.
And then 5, 6, and 7 is what they're finishing now.
I understand, thank you for clarifying that.
And I've actually been in those buildings, 1 and 2.
Yeah,
And it's like, literally like coal chutes, as if they would come with the coal and drop it in the top of the building.
Right,
And it had chutes that came like this, and there was like tracks and stuff in one of them to bring it around, and yeah. I'm pretty sure building 2, I could see the sun. I'm pretty sure that's what I pictured.
Now,
So it's interesting to see, it's sad because they've sat there for so long, but yeah,
Only we can find a program to save all the bricks.
so, yeah, that, right?
You know,
But building 1 is like, it's almost like this concrete fortress. It's really amazing. I mean, totally not repurposable for anything modern, but it's just amazing to see the construction of things way back when,
now who owns one, that's one now, right?
101.
On Cabot Street, those are the condos.
Right, what is that? Is that a private?
Individuals,
Individual.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So does that mean
So-
in that essence, we would have to like reach out to every property owner?
We would have to do the we'd have to do a full hearing
Okay.
notice to all the butters. Yep.
300.
Great.
Yeah.
Great, okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
So, but again, that doesn't, until they're ready to actually demo it.
right.
So, and they're still trying to get their funding in order, so.
makes sense.
I appreciate that she came in to give you a heads up. I thought that was,
Yeah, no,
that
They've been on
certainly
top of it.
facilitates
right,
Right.
the,
Transparency
right.
is nice.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. Great, we'll go on to number 6, announcement. I have nothing. Nothing. It's, number 7, new or old business. I have nothing.
I mean, you already read the
Yeah,
commissioners'
yeah.
letters.
Number 8, reports from commissioners attending other board or committee meetings.
That would be only.
Anything from anyone? All right, quiet one.
Shannon, oh, we could update on Shannon. Economic planning, Shannon sent out the survey. So that is circulating to all of the people. And then once she gets them all back, I guess she will create a report and we'll go with it.
Is it going out to?
So we created a list, so Shannon sent like, property owner, like there were different.
Demographics, Fairfield, several city departments.
Residents or businesses?
Yes.
Yeah, residents and business.
Residents.
What else? Several departments within the city.
Yeah,
We actually reached out to, because we didn't do a Fairfield resident exclusively, so we reached out to Marco Cosentini. He said he would fill one of those out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like as a building owner.
City, so kind of did a little, touch base of everybody throughout the city. Good, thanks, yeah, I asked you, Lauren from Fairfield,
Building. Planning.
3 or 4 questions, simple, really basic. All right, anything else? Next meeting date, May 12th, is that one for everyone? Good. Now, 5:59, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Return.
Second?
Christopher Gauthier,
Yes.
Joseph Mazzola,
Yes.
Olivia Modell,
Yes.
Zaisha Robert.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now that we're not